Ready? Is this too loud? Listen, I don't want to be too loud. Hello? Good? Usually, where do I point this to? Like, here?
Yep, you
Okay.
don't need, it should pick it up even if you don't point.
Okay. Imagine being a fish out of water and struggling to breathe. That is possibly the closest comparison I can give you about having asthma. Asthma is a chronic, long-term lung disease that inflames and narrows the airways. When you have asthma, you will have recurring periods of wheezing, chest tightness, shortness of breath, and coughing. The coughing often occurs at night or early in the morning. Asthma affects people of all ages, but most often starts in childhood. There are more than 25 million people in the United States with asthma. 7 million are children. To understand asthma, it helps to know how the airways work. Airways are tubes that carry air in and out of the lungs. People with asthma have inflamed airways. The inflammation makes the airways swollen and sensitive. When the airways react, the muscles around them tighten. The airways narrow, causing less air to flow into the lungs. Not only is there less air in the lungs, the airways also make more mucus. Asthma has no cure. Even when you feel fine, you still have the disease, and it can flare up at any time. However, with today's knowledge and treatment, most people who have asthma are able to manage the disease and can live normal, active lives and sleep through the night without interruption. When I was 6 months old, I got pneumonia for the first time. This started a pattern of every winter getting colds that would turn into breathing treatments, inhalers, and steroids. The doctors finally diagnosed me with asthma at 4 years old. This was a relief for my family to finally know what was wrong, but also started a lot of planning on how to keep me healthy and breathing well. When I was in kindergarten, I experienced how asthma was going to affect me in sports. I was playing indoor soccer, and I had a cold for a couple of weeks. The game just started, and after running down the field a couple of times, I asked my coach to come out. I looked over at my mom with a panicked look, and I was struggling to breathe. When my mom came over, I told her that I felt like I had spider webs in my throat. I was unable to play the rest of the game, and I went home doing breathing treatments and ended up in the ER that night. From that night on, I knew that when I played sports, I was going to have a harder time than most kids. I would make it through most seasons okay, but if I got a cold or my allergies were bad, I would miss a week or so of my sport. This really bummed me out because I love sports and I hated to miss any part of my season. My parents and I came up with a game plan to be proactive with my sports and asthma. I would take my inhaler before any practice or game, and if I started wheezing after getting a cold, I would make sure to take my medicine so it would not get worse. This seemed to help keep my asthma in check and not miss as much time from sports or school. When I started football, I was worried about conditioning because it was intense, hot, humid, and dusty, all things that affect my asthma. To say it was hard is an understatement. I struggled, but I kept going because the more I did, the stronger I felt. Sometimes as a kid with asthma, you think you will never be able to run as fast or last as long on the field as the other kids. I learned that if you stick with it, train hard, and stick with the plan your doctor puts in your place for you, you can keep up with the other athletes. Sometimes it is hard to be an athlete with asthma because people can think you may get breaks because of your asthma. For example, a teammate and I were running sprints with the team. We had to stop and get our inhalers. Coming back to the huddle, we heard a comment that we were using our asthma as an excuse to get out of sprints. Needless to say, that caused an issue that was not going to end well. Coach explained to the team that we were working twice as hard because when we were running, it was like breathing through a straw. I was so angry when my teammate said that, but it also motivated me to make sure to let people know you can run just as fast, hard, and far with asthma. It is also nice for me to know that there are professional athletes like Jerome Bettis and Emmett Smith who have asthma and have overcome it and made it to the next level. So for my project, I volunteered at Bow Youth Football to work with young athletes who were struggling and encouraged them to work hard. I reminded them that I was in their place once before and was able to work and achieve my goals. when I was down volunteering, I would help out wherever they needed me. I ended up working with a third grader who has asthma. He was great to work with because he was all heart. One day his mom came up to me and let me know about a conversation they had the night before. They were having a talk about how he always felt like he wasn't as good as the other kids because of his asthma. He was very excited because he told her he was at practice and I was there working with him. We were working on drills and he was struggling a little bit. He told his mom that I told him how I had asthma and how I had worked hard and excelled at sports even though I have asthma. She said he felt like he finally had someone he looked up to and that had asthma and didn't let him stop them or get in the way of their sports. Volunteering at Bow Youth was one of the most gratifying things that I've ever done. For my project, I wanted to show how asthma affects the human body and how to never give up on what you believe in. During my project, I did weightlifting that would push my asthma to the next level and also running to show how asthma can affect me over a course of time. When I was weightlifting, I used my inhaler about 30 minutes before I started lifting. I had to be mindful of my breathing and make sure I was breathing slowly and correctly. I used weightlifting as an example to show that even though you are not running, your breathing is a major factor in any sport you do. The other physical part of my project was running a mile around the track and using a peak flow meter to keep track of my breathing. I created a graph so you could see my results. I measured my breathing over 5 days. Each day I ran 4 laps around the track. After I ran, I used the peak flow meter to see where my lung capacity was at. As you can see, on the first day, I was in the green zone, which means my lungs were functioning at 80 to 100% of my personal best. This means I was able to run and recover without an inhaler. The next 2 days, I was in the yellow, which is 50 to 80% of my personal best. When I'm in the yellow, I need my inhaler to recover. On these days, I had to use my albuterol inhaler. On my final 2 days, I was back in the green and was able to run without an inhaler or medicine. I have been able to work with having asthma and have excelled at sports I've participated in. For track, my 4x100 team has made it to the States twice. I've gone to States twice for the 100 and 200 meter and was picked to go to the meet of champions. In football, I was able to make my goal of being a 1,000-yard rusher this year, named All-State, All-Conference, and picked for the All-American game. And I'm looking to play football in college. I hope that I am able to show any athlete with asthma that you can also overcome and excel at sports just like I did by listening to your doctors, creating a plan for your asthma, and working hard. And I just want to say thank you to my mentor, Mrs. Barth, my teacher, Mrs. Dustin, for yelling at me when I didn't finish my work, and Bow Youth Football. Thank you. Any questions? Sweet.
Wait, I have one.
Oh, yes.
I know, right? Do you think working with kids might be something you continue in terms of connecting with kids who have asthma? I mean, it seems like that's probably one of the high points of your project.
Yeah, like absolutely, like just like working with Brady, like that's his name, Brady. Like I didn't even know he had like asthma until he asked me to go get his inhaler. But like even like working with like the little kids and motivating them to like work hard like was awesome for me, and like I could definitely like see myself doing that in the future. So, yeah. I was just trying to get it.
Wait, is that a picture of you and Brady?
Yeah, the picture I have on it.
You way too much. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
I need to come back from, usually come back from Florida.
He's back today.
Yeah, are you coming to the game this weekend?
Is it this weekend?
Saturday, 4:35 here. All you can eat, $5 to get in.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Matt's kind of running it, so.
Huh?
No, Alicia?
No, she probably had like a meeting or something.
You did a nice job. That was a long road.